Marcelo Mayer is setting himself up for a huge superstar career with the Boston Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's all completely free. So make sure you continue to tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Sound intriguing? Don't worry, I'm going to be telling you a lot more about it a little bit later on the show. But slated on today's show, Marcelo Mayer. He is setting himself up to be an absolute superstar for the Boston Red Sox. Also, I answer the question, is this a playoff team? And finally go over the Jorge Alcala trade that the Red Sox made last night to help boost the bullpen. So Marcelo Mayer's name has been tossed all around social media ever since he got called up to the Boston Red Sox a couple weeks ago. And he has certainly made some noise and warranted that positive energy that's been coming his way and the support from the Red Sox fan base and the excitement surrounding this team right now and what Mayer can really bring to the table. Because you think about the Red Sox and where they're at right now. Obviously, they have their veterans in guys like Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman and Lucas Giolito and Walker Buehler and Trevor Story. And you look at guys like that who have been in the league for a long time and you say, wow, the Red Sox have a lot of veterans on this team. You can even add Aroldis Chapman into that mix. Liam Hendricks, even though he's injured right now. I mean, you have a lot of experienced players, but then on the flip side, you have a lot of really young players, rookies, especially like Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, Carlos Narvaez, Hunter Dobbins, guys who really have a lot of potential to set the tone for the long-term future for this organization. And Marcelo Mayer is hopefully going to be a huge part of that. He played a big role in the Red Sox 4-3 win against the Tampa Bay Rays last night. And what felt really good about this is that it secured the Red Sox the series win, their second straight series win, and their third in the last 4 series. So it really poses a question of, are they starting to come together and figure it out? One can only hope, but they did win the game 4-3. Pitching was locked down. Walker Buehler got through 7 innings, giving up 6 hits and 3 earned runs with 1 walk and 7 strikeouts. The box score looks worse than it actually was, and the box score isn't all that bad. 3 earned runs over 7 full innings. He was able to get the job done. He threw 66 strikes over 97 total pitches. And after coming off of what was a very scary start for him, he was able to bounce back and have a completely dominant outing. He went and said to himself, I'm not doing my job right now and I need to start doing it. So he came out there and he shoved. So props to him. And then the bullpen was able to hold it down in the last couple innings of the game. So the Red Sox now have won the series. They have an off day today, hopefully to gain some momentum and keep it going into the homestand against the Yankees this weekend. And Marcelo Mayer is a huge part of that momentum that can hopefully continue to be established. So he went 2 for 4 in the game with 2 solo home runs. He also had 2 strikeouts in his other at-bats, but his average is now up to a 250 with a 313 on base percentage and 523 slugging. Back-to-back at-bats for him when he absolutely launched a home run. And what was super exciting about it to see was that it's clear that his confidence is continuing to elevate. When he got called up at first, he was a little bit more hesitant at the plate, but then he had his breakthrough moment at Yankee Stadium over the weekend when he hit his first major league home run. And then has since then been able to continue to produce offensively, as he recorded a double to go along with the 2 home runs in this series against the Rays. And I knew that he just needed to gain a little bit of confidence before going out there and continuing to take his at-bats, because the sooner he gained confidence, the sooner we would start to see a lot more results from him. So I think the fact that he was able to get that first career home run out of the way when the Red Sox were in New York had him saying, wow, I can do this and I can put together some really nice at-bats. And that's exactly what he has been doing since then. It was obviously his first multi-home run game, as well as the first home run that he has hit at Fenway Park this year. So he beat his good friends Christian Campbell and Roman Anthony to that feat of having this big multi-home run game. So the thing I really like about Mayer right now is his humbleness. And I even got this from him when I talked to him a lot in Worcester, was he just doesn't take anything for granted, and he's constantly looking for ways to improve. And now he is cemented in Red Sox history as the youngest Red Sox player at 22 years and 181 days old to have a multi-homer game since Rafael Devers, who did it at 21 years, 337 days old in 2018. So cementing himself there, and obviously in pretty good company with Rafael Devers being the last person to do it. And he said it felt really good. He said to get the first one at home was special, and then obviously to get the second one anytime you could help the team out offensively means a lot. The 22-year-old has been in the big leagues for just under 3 weeks at this point. He ended May hitting .222 in his first 7 games and has bumped his average up to .294 after hitting his first major league homer at Yankee Stadium on Friday. So he's been able to just continue to make an impact offensively. And the plan from the Rays to approach Marcelo Mayer was that he was trying to give him balls that were slightly off the plate so that he would chase it. And he was accidentally planting them down the middle, and Marcelo feasted on that. So the Rays pitcher was unable to execute that plan. But the thing about Marcelo Mayer is that his swings are really effortless. He's able to put together a complete at-bat. In his second at-bat of the game last night, he fouled off a first pitch fastball, then sat on a low splitter, and then ended up turning on a middle inside splitter. He said the process always stays the same. I feel more comfortable every single day I'm here. Obviously, a little bit of adjustments I've made have helped me do a little bit more on time. So he's standing really close to the plate, and he's really confident in his swing, and it's really showing in the results for the Red Sox. His homers really helped push this team to the other side of a 1-run game in which the number 7 to 9 hitters combined for 5 hits. The Red Sox went 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but the solo home runs were enough to get it done in last night's game, largely in part due to the pitching as well. But look for Marcelo Mayer to continue to put together really strong at-bats with power. That's something that he always has had, is just raw power. So he's going to hit the ball hard, and we are likely going to see him crush home runs on a regular basis. That's a really strong aspect of his game. Now, there's obviously still some things that he can improve on when it comes to swing decisions a little bit, but he is going to hit the ball hard when he is making contact. So be prepared for more of that. And the future with Marcelo is bright, because if he continues to grow and develop in the way that I feel and know that he can, good things are in store for him and for the Boston Red Sox. So definitely continue to watch how he develops. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about the Red Sox as what they are and answering the question, are they a playoff team or are they not? If you're looking for a fun sports betting app to bet on all different kinds of sports, FanDuel is the place for you. My husband actually has it because he places bets every single day. He sits down at the kitchen table after he wakes up in the morning. He looks at all of the games that are going on that day, no matter what sports they are, and he places bets that he feels would make the most sense. for that day. And it's actually really funny to watch him do it because he takes it super seriously. But he has his little spreadsheet where he makes the bets and then he goes into the FanDuel app and actually places those bets. And you know what? He wins lots of money. So if you're trying to win a lot of money too, you definitely should download FanDuel. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You really can make the most of this experience and win lots of money by heading to FanDuel. The Red Sox are coming off of a really solid series win against the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, going into this series, I definitely had some high hopes because of the fact that the Red Sox played a genuinely really good series against the Yankees prior to that. And it's not that their offense really was hitting a lot situationally in last night's game, but between the pitching and getting length and them hitting solo home runs, it was enough to win that game. And that's been the biggest key as of late with this Red Sox team is they've been getting length from their starters, particularly guys like Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito, and Brian Bayo, who have all been hit or miss guys this season that they haven't always gotten the length that they have wanted to get from them. They all have provided that length over their last start, each of them. And that makes the world of a difference for the bullpen because if the bullpen's more rested, then Alex Cora has more guys available to be able to throw in ideal situations as opposed to being stuck throwing guys out there that he doesn't necessarily want to throw in that specific place. So, for example, late in the game last night, he threw Greg Weisser and Justin Wilson, and then Aroldis Chapman closed it out in the ninth. But Wilson and Weisser have both been used in high leverage situations for this team this year because they have both been reliable. And the biggest thing that Alex Cora has been able to do as of late is use those types of players in those spots as opposed to having to use a guy like Zach Kelly in high leverage who has not been throwing well enough to be in those situations. But if the bullpen was taxed because the starters weren't providing length and he had to turn to the bullpen earlier in games, then what would happen is then he would be forced to throw guys in those tight games that he wouldn't necessarily have wanted to throw in that situation otherwise. And it would have gotten back on Alex Cora. Like, how could he throw him there? But it really comes down to, are guys available or are they not? And the starters are providing length. And that's the biggest thing. And it leads to a question of, is this a playoff team? Because before the season started, the conversation always was, yes, they are a playoff team, as long as they are healthy and their key players are out there every day, they will be a playoff team. But early on in the season, people were starting to change their minds on that because this was a team that had no consistency. The starting pitchers and the bullpen both were not delivering up to expectations, and the offense was very hot and cold. And while some of those issues definitely still apply, I don't trust necessarily the ability of a guy like Lucas Giolito to continue to be consistent because we have seen this from him this season where he has a really strong start and then he has a start that's not so good and then he goes back to another good start and it's just kind of a vicious pattern there. So I'm not necessarily saying that automatically the Red Sox problems are all fixed right now because they're certainly not. I mean, they are missing two of their biggest offensive players right now in Wilyer Abreu and Alex Bregman. And luckily, as of late, they have been able to fill that void without them because the offense has been stepping up. Guys like Carlos Narvaez, for example, who has just been a huge surprise this season. And by surprise, I mean unexpected offensively, because we knew going into it when the Red Sox acquired him that he was here primarily for the defensive prowess that he provides out there and not necessarily as much of his offense. But now he has started to bring the offense, and he has been one of the Red Sox most consistent hitters so far this season. He's coming up with the big hits at the plate, and he's been a guy who the Red Sox have seriously been able to count on a lot offensively to come through, and that's been great to see. And another player who's been surprising offensively in a really good way is Abraham Toro. The Red Sox should not be taking his bat out of the lineup. He's putting together some really impressive swings, and he has been a fuel for this Red Sox offense in the absence of guys like Abreu and Bregman. So there have been guys who have stepped up more than maybe people thought that they would be, and they have been able to help fill that void. And now with Marcelo Mayer and Roman Anthony also up, people are hoping that they are going to be able to contribute to that type of offense as well. But the reality is eventually they are going to get Abreu and Bregman back. And those guys make the offense better. And regardless of how they're hitting right now, you don't want to go into crunch time in this season, say it comes down to the wire in September and the Red Sox are a borderline playoff team. Everybody can admit that you want Alex Bregman in that lineup, an experienced veteran who was the best hitter on the team before he got hurt. So it's a no-brainer that you want to slot Bregman back in there. But him being back in there hopefully will lead to the Red Sox continuing to score more runs in their pitching to be able to hold down the fort simultaneously. So is this a playoff team? Right now, the answer is no. They are still in situations where they need to work through certain issues like what we just saw in the first game of the series against the Rays, to where the Red Sox had to keep coming back from being down because they would rally and tie the game. But then the Red Sox pitching staff would give up the go-ahead run to the Rays again. And it was just a vicious cycle of the Red Sox having to climb back in the game and rally from behind to score runs. And eventually they ended up losing that game. But the pitchers couldn't hold their own in that one. And I feel like there are still some inconsistencies with that, regardless of the fact that the Red Sox have been playing well over the last week plus and have put together some really strong series wins. It doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that there are still those inconsistencies from a pitching standpoint. And when you look at the offense, I mean, the Red Sox going 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position in last night's game is obviously not ideal. Can't be too mad because they still won the game thanks to the pitching and thanks to the solo home runs that guys were hitting to get them to win that one. But the point is that the offense still as a whole is inconsistent and isn't necessarily hitting that well with runners in scoring position. So I still need to see some more situational hitting from them in order to feel confident in saying that, yes, they are a playoff team. I still need to see them go out there and be able to drive in more runs in the big moments. And that's something that I feel like they are still failing to do. So right now, no, they are not a playoff team. If they get healthy, are they going to be a playoff team? Then I'd be willing to say that, yes, they can be, as long as things continue to go well. If they play the way that they have played over the last couple series, then I 100% feel like, yes, they are a playoff team. That's what I will say on that, is that if they play the way that they have played in the series against the Yankees on the road and in this past series against the Rays, that is a tough team to beat. They are going to be a competitive baseball team if they play like that. But that's a big if, because we have seen a lot of inconsistency in a lot of different areas from them this season. The defense too. I mean, the defense overall has been better over the last couple weeks than it was prior to that in this season. But overall, it has been still a problem. And the Red Sox infield continues to make blunders. Now you have a guy like Trevor Story in there who's the veteran and known to be dominant defender, who has had his fair share of errors on the season this year so far, for sure. He made a really fine play late in the game last night, and he still has that defensive prowess in him. We can see it when he makes those types of plays, like the one he made last night in the late innings. And that's something that I'm hoping he continues to keep up with, because it was a serious problem early on in the season when he and Bregman were manning that side of the infield, and they both were making mistakes on a regular basis. And it really caused for a disaster of an infield for this Boston Red Sox team. But Marcelo has been playing a great defensive third base in Bregman's absence, and Trevor Story hasn't really made the same number of errors at the same rate as he was earlier on in the season. So if they can continue to make sure that they're limiting those errors, then yes, when they're healthy, they will be a playoff team. But there are ifs here, and that's the biggest thing for me. I'm not ready to sit here and say, yes, they are a playoff team right now, but I will say that based on how they've looked the last couple series, I'm more confident in their ability to make the playoffs than I was prior to that. So that's at least promising. I think we do have a team that if everything comes together the right way, then we will see playoff baseball in Boston this year. But coming up, somebody who could help us see playoff baseball in Boston is Jorge Alcala, who the Red Sox just made a trade for last night. So I'm going to be discussing him next. If you're looking for cheaper tickets at the last minute to a sporting event or a live musical performance or a concert of any sort of capacity, Game Time is the perfect place to get your tickets for that stuff, because we all know that things come up and last minute you might decide you want to go to something. It happens to all of us. And Game Time makes sure to guarantee you the lowest prices so that when you purchase it, you know that you're getting a good deal, and it shows you the view from your seat so that you can make sure that you're not obstructed by anything. So if you're looking for cheaper tickets to literally any type of live event, Game Time is the place for you. I use it all the time, and it's really benefited me. I've never used another ticketing vendor since starting to use Game Time, so I highly recommend you do as well. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It's so true, it guarantees the lowest price, so I highly recommend you purchasing from it. As the Red Sox come off of another series win, they are still looking to try to improve the baseball team. And one move that they did make to try to improve the team last night is by making a trade for a pitcher in Jorge Alcala in an attempt to bolster the bullpen right now. He is somebody who hopefully will be able to provide some depth in that capacity. So they made a trade last night with the Minnesota Twins that brought Jorge Alcala here. And in return, the Red Sox traded infielder Andy Lugo. And in a corresponding roster move, Brian Van Bell, who's a right-handed pitcher, was DFA'd. And this is somebody who had been pitching in AAA and was really impressing in AAA. So the Red Sox called him up, and he just hadn't gotten a shot in the majors. They chose to DFA him. If he goes unclaimed, then he'll go back to Worcester and still be part of the Red Sox system. But Alcala has an ERA of 8.88 this season. He's a 7-year veteran who has spent the entirety of his career with the Twins. The 29-year-old reliever last pitched on Tuesday, giving up 6 runs, with 5 of those being earned over 1 2/3 innings. He does have a career .432 ERA with 193 strikeouts over 166 games, all in relief. But with a number of key relievers sidelined by injury right now, the Red Sox just have been feeling the weight of a completely taxed bullpen as of late, which I have been talking about because of the starters not going deep enough into games. So that doesn't help the matter. Obviously, Justin Slayton is hurt, and the Red Sox have said that he's not progressing as quickly as expected from his right shoulder inflammation. So that's been tough news for them to hear, because he has been super reliable in the setup role. Chris Murphy is also rehabbing from Tommy John and isn't expected to return until after the All-Star break. And Liam Hendriks is dealing with right hip inflammation and isn't doing anything baseball related yet, according to Alex Cora. So as a result of a lot of this, you have a guy like Brennan Bernardino, who recorded a 0.71 ERA in 10 appearances in May, who has now pitched 4 times in a 5-game span to start June, allowing 6 runs in 3 innings, which is an 18.00 ERA. So one of their most reliable relievers has been struggling as of late, likely because of fatigue. Right-hander Greg Weisser has also pitched in 7 of the Red Sox last 10 games, including getting 2 key outs in last night's game and helping the Red Sox to win it. So obviously, they are in a tough spot with the bullpen right now, and they are hoping that the newbie, Alcala, can help bolster that pen a little bit and give some of these guys some much-needed rest. So Lugo, the guy they traded, has been in Boston's system since 2021, playing 1 season in rookie ball before time with Single A Salem, 87 games with them to be exact, and 21 games with High A Greenville in 2024. Working primarily as a first and third baseman, Lugo played in 44 games for Greenville this season, hitting .265 with 4 homers, 11 doubles, and 20 RBIs. So he's a lower end prospect for the Red Sox, but they were willing to give him up, obviously, because they saw something they liked in Alcala. Van Bell, who has been in the organization since 2021, was called up to Boston for the first time on Monday and did not appear in a game for the Red Sox. The right-hander had a .229 ERA with AAA Worcester this season over 12 games, with 8 of those being starts. So he had been pretty solid. So it was definitely a little bit of a confusing move, DFAing him before even giving him a shot. But the Red Sox might be banking on him going unclaimed so that they could bring him back. But that was essentially the bulk of what went down with that trade. So why Alcala? Because if you look at his surface level numbers, it may be hard to see why the Red Sox would be completely enamored with this guy. Across 22 appearances with Minnesota this year, he's pitched to an 8.88 ERA with a 5.42 FIP and an elevated 13.2% walk rate. Now, FIP, what is that? That means fielding independent pitching. So essentially, it's a stat that's similar to ERA, but it focuses solely on the events a pitcher has the most control over, which is strikeouts, walks, hit by pitches, and home runs. It entirely removes results on balls hit into the field of play because the pitchers aren't believed to have as much control in what happens to a ball that's hit in play, whereas a strikeout, a walk, a hit by pitch, and a home run are all directly from the pitcher to the hitter. So it's a little bit less of, okay, there could be a third party involved that maybe can mess up the play and this player gets on first on an error, or he hits a single into the field and then maybe he turns that into a double because the outfielder didn't get the ball in time. These are just examples of things that would not be counted in FIP. So, for example, if a pitcher has surrendered a high average on balls in play, his FIP will likely be lower than his ERA. Balls in play are just not part of the FIP equation, whereas with ERA, it is. So what's considered a good FIP? So if you get to a 500 FIP, that's considered poor, with 4 being average. So you really want to be below that. And Alcala had a 5.42 FIP this season. His numbers are obviously concerning, especially because he walks guys at a pretty high rate and his command can be a little bit rough. But he does have a 24.6% strikeout rate that has remained quite good even in the season of struggle that he's been having this year. And he entered the year with a career 3.64 ERA and 4.33 FIP. So there we go. Those numbers are a little bit better. His 2024 campaign was even better than this year, as he posted a 3.24 ERA and 4.14 FIP in 58 and a third innings of work during a season where his walk rate sat at a much more manageable 8.5%. So he got worse in 2025 compared to 2024, but the Red Sox, obviously something in him, and I think what they do see in him is likely the swing and miss rate and the strikeouts that he does compile. And I think they're hoping that obviously over a larger sample size, he could show some improvement. And if the Red Sox can help restore his command even a little bit, then it's definitely not hard to see them maybe making him into a viable option for the middle innings of relief for this Red Sox team. And I do think they are taking a risk with it. Obviously, he doesn't have eye-popping numbers. He's a guy who could end up really helping the Red Sox, or it could end up really doing damage to this Boston Red Sox team. But I felt similar when the Red Sox brought in Justin Wilson, who hadn't had great numbers in 2024, but has been really solid for this team. So I'm hoping that it ends up being a similar situation here, because the Red Sox definitely need the bullpen help. And I think the idea is, hey, let's just try it out with this guy. Hopefully he's durable enough to get us by until we start getting some of our guys healthy again. And then when we get guys healthy again, we'll kind of reevaluate from there. But he is a guy who I'm interested in seeing how he adapts to pitching with a new organization and being part of a team that plays at Fenway Park and is one of the most historic franchises in Major League Baseball. I mean, that can be hard emotionally on a player. So I'm interested in seeing how he makes that transition to coming to Boston. But I was a little bit surprised that Brian Van Bell was the corresponding move. I thought for sure that it may be Zach Kelly because of the fact that Kelly has been struggling overall with this Red Sox team. And he truly is not a multi-inning guy. He just struggles and starts to lose it, even if he is in one inning that he's pitched and his pitch count starts to pile up. I thought that he wasn't as reliable and was somebody who I could have seen the Red Sox making this move for. But Brian Van Bell, they might be hoping that he goes unclaimed so that he can be back in the Red Sox organization and they can maybe give him another shot. But with how well he had been pitching, I definitely thought that he earned and deserved that shot. So a little bit surprising, but we'll see how Alcala does. Maybe he'll be a guy who pitches really well out of the Red Sox pen, and then we don't have to worry about it because that's another reliable arm that could help ease some of that fatigue that the relievers are feeling right now. So low end prospect for him that the Red Sox gave up. They're also taking on the remaining $1.5 million salary that he is owed for this year. So we'll have to see how this goes. Low risk, high reward. Hopefully the reward part is more prevalent. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully he's able to contribute, but I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. Make sure to check out Locked On MLB Game Night next on YouTube or any other podcast platform, as some of our Locked On hosts here will be breaking down every game that happened that night so that you don't have to worry about checking scores on your phone and trying to figure out storylines. They have you covered. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast and listen right after this. I appreciate you always. Keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.